Pope Francis has just an hour ago arrived from Cuba into the United States. It is his first visit here as the leader of the world's Catholics.
President Obama greeted the pontiff as he arrived, and security teams were out there already. Weijia Jiang has more from Washington.
Pope Francis gave Cubans a final blessing and headed to America for the first time. Before departing, he took one last victory lap in his Pope-mobile, capping his 4-day visit to the communist country.
We found our seats.
The Pope's historic U.S. visit will be a time of celebration for millions of followers.
Just to be near him will be wonderful.
But his busy schedule creates a massive security challenge for police agencies in Washington, D.C., New York, and Philadelphia. They are concerned about lone wolf attacks, especially during one of the Pope's unscripted stops.
It is all hands on deck.
Paul Abate leads the FBI's Washington field office.
I would say it's one of the largest, if not the largest, special event we've ever seen here.
About 25,000 people are expected when the Pope celebrates Mass tomorrow outside the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. The Archbishop of Washington watched over last-minute preparations.
It's all very exciting, but to see now the altar in place, to see how all of the space has become a church is very, very exciting.
Pope Francis is expected to weigh in on the immigration issue at some point during his U.S. visit.
Yeah, that's one of the big things he's talking about. What a lot of the analysts have been saying is it's interesting because President Obama and Pope Francis disagree on a lot of those social issues, you know, abortion, gay marriage, we're looking at those. But on a lot of big things like immigration, they have some common ground, so those should be some interesting conversations.
Absolutely.
Hey, today the jury in the Gabriel Hall capital murder trial saw a video of Gabriel being interviewed in jail by a well-known comedian. Gabriel Hall said he was born with a frown on his face when comedian Jeff Ross joked about Hall's serious demeanor during the taping of a special that eventually aired on Comedy Central. Hall was one of several inmates interviewed at the Brazos County Jail for that piece. Hall is convicted of killing Edwin Shar and seriously hurting his wife Linda during a home invasion in 2011. Coming up at 5, we hear from the couple's daughter Betsy Shar, and at 6, we'll have more on that Comedy Central video and what else Gabriel Hall had to say during that filming. An update on a story we brought you back in July.
We told you the story of a woman who served as a surrogate for her sister for a second time. Pretty awesome stuff.
So this past Friday, Katie and Jared Andrews, along with the surrogate sister Courtney, celebrated the birth of twins. Jackson Dean weighed in at 4 pounds, 13 ounces, and Jet William weighed in at 4 pounds, 14 ounces. Everyone is doing well, although the family says it could be several weeks before the twins get to go home. They were a little bit early. Courtney also served as a surrogate for the Andrews' first son, Jace, who is now 2 years old. So we have Jace, Jet, and Jackson. That's a mouthful, but those are 3 cute
absolutely.
little boys.
Well, we're happy that everything's turning out well. We hope that continues to happen as well.
Of course. What a thing to do.
Yeah.
Hey, this is interesting. A high school athlete is saying that his Apple Watch helped save his life.
Yeah, he says the watch's heart rate monitor alerted him that something was wrong. Nika Faison has more on this story.
A 17-year-old Tabor Academy senior was at football practice when something felt off.
I had pain in my chest and my back whenever I took some deep breath.
He would have chalked it up to a hot day on the gridiron.
Right now it's at 87, which is normal.
But his Apple Watch alerted him to something serious.
I could just feel my heart pounding. And so after practice, I went and took a nap. My heart rate was still at like 145 that I noticed on my Apple Watch.
The Apple Watch takes your resting heart rate about every few minutes or so. So right now I can tell that my resting heart rate is normal for me. Paul knew there was a problem when his resting heart rate was more than double his average. Paul went to the hospital where he learned he had heart, liver, and kidney failure, which could have been fatal if not for his watch.
Just grateful that he's healthy. I can remember when the Apple Watch was coming out and I said, okay, there's no way I'm ever buying one. I went out on Saturday and purchased an Apple Watch for my wife and for myself.
So I'm not nearly fancy enough to have an Apple Watch. But what I've seen them do is you can send your heartbeat to somebody. So I guess the Apple Watch will pick up your pulse and you can send it to somebody, and it's a nice little moment. You share your heartbeat. But this is so much cooler.
Yeah,
It
that's
actually
like a
saved my
life alert that everybody can have.
Yeah.
That's awesome stuff. It makes you almost want to go out and get one. And,
Yeah.
and you had the situation with the guy that passed out and eventually died on a basketball court. Nobody really knew what the reason was, and so for that reason, they have to have defibrillators all the time with you. But that's an even better jump in technology when you talk about knowing your heart rate and stuff like that. Heart, kidney, and liver failure.
Right,
And it was
when
all
we
because,
can prevent this before those collapses on the basketball courts
and
happen.
otherwise, he maybe would have just felt weird and
Yeah.
fell asleep, and who knows what would have happened after
Not
that.
thought much
So,
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome story.
Very cool. Hey, according to a new survey, 42% of Americans think people who drive red cars pay more for car insurance, which actually I kind of thought that.
Yeah, but insurancequotes.com says that is not the case.
Huh. The people surveyed who believe in the theory, 53% are millennials, 44% have a college degree or higher, 36% earn $75,000 or more every year.
Now, there are a lot of these false impressions, things you think about in cars, but another popular false impression is that insurance doesn't cover repairs for the motorist at fault. 56% responders got it right. Oddly, 1 in 5 Americans think that they have to pay out of pocket even when the accident is not their fault.
Oh yeah, I knew that
Car
one.
insurance
The
thing.
red car thing, I guess maybe it's not that I thought red cars had higher insurance, but you kind of think that cops pull over red cars a little bit more often.
That's what I've always read. I don't know if that's an actual true statistic, but
My car is maroon, so I feel like in College Station, I probably get pulled over less. It's kind of my
Perhaps.
own little insurance policy.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll let you know the stats
Okay,
once I
please do.
conduct that personal
Yes.
study. Hey, stay with us right after the break. I have a conversation with a communications strategist. She talks about how it can really help out in your business.
And we've already talked about how tomorrow's the first day of fall. How is that going to feel? How's the rest of the week going to feel? And of course, the weekend. We'll talk about that on the other side of the break.